Are you struggling to turn browsers into buyers? People will land on your e-commerce store and just browse around without buying. Are you losing sales on your e-commerce website? Average cart abandonment on Shopify is approximately 70%. According to Shopify, complicated checkout contributes 18% of cart abandonment. In today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about conversion killers and how to fix them. What are the conversion killers on your homepage, on your product listing page and product page? What exactly are the conversion killers on your cart page? I'm going to walk you through the homepage, the product page, the cart page to identify those conversion killers and make recommendations and solutions on how to fix them. Let's start with the homepage. Your e-commerce homepage is extremely important, and there are a lot of common conversion killers on your homepage. An unoptimized banner is a major conversion killer. This banner provides an avenue for you to convince people to communicate value proposition. And if you do a bad job with the information that you have on the banner, that would affect your conversion. What am I talking about here? On the banner, some banners will appear really high up above your navigation, and some banners will be right below your navigation. In some instances, you can have two banners, one banner very high and another banner really low below the navigation. This banner provides opportunities for you to communicate your shipping information, your return policy, the amount that people need to buy on your store to qualify for free shipping. How you use this banner would communicate effective value proposition and encourage people to feel safe, to feel relaxed when they land on your Shopify or e-commerce store. Your navigation is not just there for navigation. Your navigation is to help people browse around your website, is to help them go from one section of the website to another. In some instances, you have elements within e-commerce navigation that shouldn't be there. Those elements on your navigation causes you to have a poor navigation. If you have a poor navigation, people are going to struggle to navigate across your website, and they're going to get frustrated and they're going to leave. A website with an effective, clean navigation will have a high conversion. Statistics show this. So, solution for poor navigation is to make sure that your UX team has optimized your navigation. By default, a lot of Shopify e-commerce navigation comes by default as a default setting. Most of these navigations are not necessarily tailored to your website. So for you to have the best result from a conversion perspective and reduce your navigation as a conversion killer, it's good to A/B test and do tree testing and other form of testing and usability testing on your navigation to see how fast people can use the navigation to get to their destination. Poor navigation is a problem. Another conversion killer of your e-commerce store is a broken search functionality. Your navigation will get people to a certain page and it will help them navigate back to different sections of the website. That would help the user experience and increase propensity to convert. The other option, where you have a very large product catalog, people cannot always be using your navigation to navigate around. They will by default use your search functionality. Some people actually rely heavily on your search functionality and don't even use your navigation. How visible your navigation is will impact on conversion as well, because when you have a broken search functionality, people will get frustrated from using that search functionality and they will exit your website. What do I mean by a search functionality? You want a functionality that when people type, your search feature on your e-commerce store is able to auto-complete exactly what those people are looking for. And if that item that they searched for is not available, your search functionality, if it's not broken, should be able to recommend similar or related products. Some e-commerce stores ignore the importance of this search functionality because they expect people to navigate, to come in through Google Ads and paid advertising to use the navigation. But the navigation is just one way for people to navigate around, whereas your search functionality offers a faster way. When someone knows exactly what they want, say for example, they know your brand, they know your website, they type in your website, they do not want to waste time going through the navigation, they go straight into your search box, they type in what they want, straight away they get into the product, and if they just want to buy just that single product, they add it to cart and they buy and they leave. But in a situation where they get there, they don't know how to find the product easily through your navigation because they'll have to click on multiple pages or multiple links to land there. When they then go into the search functionality, if your search functionality is broken, that automatically becomes a conversion killer because that person becomes frustrated and they go to your competitor's website and your competitor offers them a better search feature, or they go to Amazon, which has the best when it comes to search navigation and things like that, and they get what they want. For you to understand the importance of the broken search functionality as a conversion killer, look at Amazon. The bulk of people that land on Amazon do not use navigation. We all use the search feature. You go on Amazon because the product catalog is so huge that Amazon just relies on you heavily to use that search feature. How many times have you ever gone on Amazon and used the navigation? So, if your website is a large website, you need to make sure that you fix your broken search functionality. If you're a smaller website that you have a limited product offering, you do not need to bother about the search feature. Sometimes even smaller e-commerce stores do not need a search feature because all their products are small. But for large multi-product catalog websites, your search functionality is a major conversion killer if you're ignoring it. Invisible shopping basket, wish list, sign up, and country. What I'm trying to say here is in some e-commerce store, if people that add things to the basket or add things to a wish list cannot visibly see it, if it doesn't really pop and let them know how many items they have or what items they have in the wish list and what items they have in the shopping cart, that is a major conversion killer. You want to make sure that people can see visibly that there's a contrast with your shopping cart and within the navigation. You don't want it to just blend with the navigation and people can't really see what is there. So because when people can see that they have items in the shopping cart, when they're browsing around, if they want to leave, if they see the number and see like it pops that they have something in the basket, there's a high chance that it will delay them and they'll look at the shopping cart and see like, do I really need this? Or if it's not visible to them and they're not even aware if they've even added anything to the shopping cart or the wish list, they're bound to leave. And in some instances, if your e-commerce store is an international store, you need to give people that flexibility to be able to select the country. If your website does not select it by default and show them the right country wherever they're browsing from, you need to give them that feature. And instances where people want to even change languages, say for example, someone is in the UK and they just want, and it's an international website and they want to read in a particular different language, your website needs to make it visible to people that they can actually do that. And from an accessibility standpoint as well, you want to make sure that you have visible logos where people can change the font size and different things to help people navigate your website. That is a major conversion killer. If you have invisible basket, invisible wish list, it's a major conversion killer. Another conversion killer on your homepage that you need to pay attention is a weak hero image. Sometimes I've seen e-commerce store not pay as much attention to the images. The reason why the image is a conversion killer is because the store by default is not as good as a physical location when someone goes in to buy something. They can feel it, they can try it on, they can see how it feels. But with the images, especially with color, if your product image on your homepage doesn't really have that high quality, then people will kind of not trust you intuitively, because if your images, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, if your images is not as good as they expect, they're bound not to take your website seriously because you've not added effort to make the quality of the image high. What I'm trying to say is I've worked with large retailers in the past where they understand the importance of image optimization, the importance of having a very good hero image and even images across the homepage, that they have a whole department of photographers and videographers. I'm talking about a big department where they schedule photo shoots and things like that. So the images on those product page, on the homepage, is not static. That is the best-in-class website when it comes to e-commerce. They do not have a weak hero image. If you have a weak hero image, that's a major conversion killer. And in some instances, you have situations where some e-commerce homepage do not even have a call to action. The goal of the call to action on your homepage above the fold is to get people as quick as possible to your product listing page. The call to action on your e-commerce homepage is not to get someone to one product. It's to get them to a product listing page where they can then buy. In some instances, you can have different call to actions higher up, but the more options you give people, the more confused they become. So you really want to test, is it okay to have just one CTA or two? Is it okay to have a CTA that is static? Is it okay to have a floating CTA? These are things that you can use A/B testing to find out. Another major conversion killer on your e-commerce homepage is unoptimized homepage layout. What does this mean? Your homepage layout, when someone arrives, let me give you an example. When someone arrives on your website, on your homepage, and they just browse around, go deep into your website, look at a few products, added a few products to the basket, and then they come back to your homepage. Your homepage should not be the same content. You need to enable personalization that would take into account everything that they've browsed around with and will make recommendation based on that browse history that they are on your website at the time to present products that are similar or relevant to their search history. Another example of an unoptimized homepage is when someone leaves your homepage and after 2 days they come back and they're greeted with the same thing. You want your homepage to be able to show to them new arrivals. You want the homepage to show the bestsellers to them. You want to add a kind of emotional excitement. Don't make your homepage dull and static. That is where personalization comes into play. And you have a lot of software solutions that you can use to help you personalize your e-commerce store. If you need help with that, you can contact me. My contact details is in the show notes, and I'll be happy to help you identify conversion killers on your homepage and solve them. The next conversion killer on the homepage is the absence of non-transactional content. What I'm trying to say here is, by default, when your e-commerce store is for transaction, you're not there to give people other options. You just want them to buy. But sometimes, for example, a fashion website where people buy stuff like clothes, you want to give them that opportunity to learn from you. Like if I go into a website that sells clothes, I want them to give me information about color combination, to give me information about product combination and things like that. That is not necessarily transactional. That is more educative. That is more, this is the trend. This is the latest trend. This is what is happening. Those kind of information would encourage me as a customer or consumers to come back to your website. So you're giving them a reason so they feel like they can browse your e-commerce store without buying something and then get that brand affinity, get that kind of relationship going where they're encouraged to come back to your website. The benefit of this is because you can rank for those important content pages on Google search and even ChatGPT can send people to your website that way. But the important elements is you're giving people that engagement. So people don't have to come to your website by default through paid search every time. Because if they have to click on a paid search to arrive every time they're looking for a product, then that increases your cost per acquisition. But if you're providing them with content that is non-transactional, that is blog, educational, that they can read and understand how to use your product or how to make a decision about your product, then you're offering them an opportunity to want to come back to your website. That repeat visit would give you opportunity to convert them. And understand that conversion in most instances doesn't happen the first time they arrive on your website. If they keep arriving on your website consuming non-transactional content, when they're ready to buy because they're around your website, then they have that propensity to buy. And if you have a brick and mortar store, a physical location, the fact that they read and consume content on your website to learn and educate themselves about product purchase decision, when they're out and about, they will be able to pop into your physical store and actually try some things on based on that relationship that you've created with content. Another conversion killer on your e-commerce homepage is weak social proof. Social proof doesn't necessarily have to just be reviews alone. Social proof can be partnership endorsement, like where you've been mentioned in maybe articles or magazines or things like that. A kind of reinforcement to show your presence, to show your brand's reputation. That does a good job. And also, you can also integrate customer reviews in some way, shape, or form on your homepage. So when people are browsing around, they know that, okay, people like them have bought from you. and they've put out reviews, and your organization earns trust, especially from new people that don't know about your e-commerce store, that are hearing for the first time. That review reinforces trust in them, so they are less likely to just pick up and leave. Another conversion killer that I've seen is the way email is captured. A main conversion killer is when someone lands on your website and they've not even taken 2 breaths, and you just slap them with a newsletter and 10% discount. In previous roles, we A/B test the number of seconds. Sometimes the optimal is like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Sometimes it's even when after people start scrolling up to a certain level that you then present them. So that's one avenue to get the email. But a main conversion killer is if you just keep popping them, sign up for newsletter. Different demographics, different age group would respond differently. Some customers are not interested in your newsletter. What they are interested in is if you are telling them to sign up that they'll get future discounts. What they are interested is if you tell them to sign up for your email that you're going to send them new products releases. Then they have a reason to give you their email address, but you don't want to abuse that. When that email address comes into your database, then you need to make sure you use it the right way. The reason why I said that is because email contributes between 2.6 to 10.3% of conversion. So the highest conversion, the highest ROI channel is email. So the way you capture your email, in some e-commerce store, the email capture will even be buried below at the footer. Again, this layout design where you integrate email capture higher up the page will need to be A/B tested. If you need help with A/B testing and optimizing your homepage for conversion to remove conversion killers, check out my details in the show notes and contact me. And then technical issues. I've worked with websites in the past where in some instances, the website will have problems and the digital marketing team, the conversion team, and other teams in the organization would not be aware. In some instances, this problem are technical, maybe a bug, the add to cart button stopped working on a Friday night, and everybody is out until Monday before they realize it. Even the speed of your website being really, really heavy and not loading fast enough, that's a technical problem that you need to pay attention to. That's why it's a main conversion killer. As I explained, I've seen situations where those issues happen from a technical standpoint and people are not aware that the problems are there. So to fix these conversion problems, you need to make sure that you set up a kind of alert. You need to work with your web development team and your website developer to make sure that they configure a way where if conversion or if add to cart or if journeys from one page to the other, that you know there's a particular threshold where if it's lower than this, it's not normal. You need to set up alerts where if it goes below that threshold, everyone within your team, important stakeholders will get an alert that there's a technical problem. And as soon as they fix that, the conversion will go back. It's a situation where organization will invite me in to have a consultation, and I'll realize that the bulk of their conversion problems, the bulk of the conversion killers on their website is actually technical. But in some instances, you have e-commerce store owners or founders or sales directors that don't have a technical background. So it's difficult for them to identify that as a conversion killer. Another thing that is a conversion killer is the lack of brand story. I'm going to group the brand story into sustainability as well. Your story about the planet, how your product, how you care about the planet, and how you're trying to make sure that your carbon footprint and all those good stuff about sustainability, you need to be able to communicate it visibly on your homepage. You have different segments of customers. Some people don't care about those kind of things. Some people actually care. Some people will not buy from you if your product is not ethically sourced. Some people will not buy from you if you're not watching your carbon footprint. Some people will not buy from you if you treat your employees or your staff badly, or you just outsource production somewhere else. All those kind of things are important. So you need to make sure that your homepage, in some ways, in a sentence or image or anyhow you want to communicate it, make sure that you communicate that to your target audience. These are the main conversion killers on your homepage. And if you pay attention to all of them and you fix them, you're bound to increase click-through rate to your product page, and you're bound to increase overall conversion. The main reason why your homepage is important is when you send traffic through paid advertising to your product page, sometimes those product traffic will spill back to your homepage when they're bouncing around your website. You want to make sure that your homepage does not have any conversion killer that would affect them, that would reduce the potential of them converting. Let's look at the product page. The product page conversion killers. The most common conversion killers in your product page are number one, generic product description. What I mean by this is if you're selling a product that is the same product, you're not the manufacturer, for example, you're a reseller, and that same product is available across multiple websites. You cannot compete with price because sometimes the prices are uniform across the board. If that product has a generic title and description, then there is no way for you to differentiate. When someone lands on your page, on your product page, you need to make sure that you do not have generic product page because that's a conversion killer. Your product description and your product title should be different to other websites, and it should be able to communicate value proposition. It should be able to communicate benefits and things that will make people want to buy on that product page and not just leave. Another conversion killer on your product page is unoptimized product image and videos. I mentioned that about the homepage earlier on. The same applies to the product page, but this is in more detail because with the homepage, you can just have 1 or 2 or 3. There's no level of details. But with your product page, you want to make sure that you have different angles, different perspective of the product image. The goal is to show people as much images or important images that would try and replicate when they're in your physical location. And if you don't have a physical location, you're competing with people that have a physical location because people cannot feel and touch the product. So your image needs to be extremely optimized, especially for e-commerce store. The angles that you make the images is really, really important. I was working with a retailer recently, and the photographer that went in did a good job about the images. But again, this is where you need your conversion rate optimization expert and your photographer and your videographer working in collaboration. So they just don't go out and make those images. Then you need to kind of feed them high converting images to create. So when it comes to the product page, then those images are optimized for conversion. Again, a major conversion killer for product pages is unoptimized images and video. Another one is hidden product reviews. In some e-commerce stores, product pages, you have the reviews buried below the fold where people have to scroll to get to it. You want a situation where the product reviews are not hidden, they're higher up and visible, but you don't want it to be a distraction. You don't want people to click on the product review and then go to another website to start reading the review. You just want to show them enough information about the product review without taking them away from the product page that, okay, this product has had reviews. Customers that have bought this product have said good things about it. So not having that high up is a conversion killer. Another conversion killer is what is in the box. So every product you buy, say for example a camera, will have different accessories in the box. If your product page is like that where people would expect different items within that box, having an unclear content, content of the product within the box that they're buying. If you do not have that information higher up, close to the image, close to the CTA, people might have questions that, oh, does this product have everything I need? Will I need to get something extra like an accessory to be able to use this? If they start having those questions, those are the questions that will potentially take them away from that product page. So, but you want to make sure that you have a clear communication of what is in that product. Take, for example, a product like a cloth, for example. What is in that product means people might be interested in the percentage of cotton it has, where it's manufactured. All those kind of information are things that were used to produce the product, but those information, some people might need those information. So you need to be able to communicate what is in that product. And some e-commerce product pages have weak call to action. When I mean weak call to action, in some instances, the call to action, the color contrast is really terrible. It's not accessible from an accessibility standpoint. The call to action sometimes does not even offer people options. What I mean by this is for a large e-commerce store, the product page, people might browse multiple products and they might just want to add some of those products to a wish list. And this is where the conversation comes in is, do you want them to add it straight to cart or add it to wish list? If someone wants to look at multiple options before they decide, they add everything to the cart and they start deleting, you have that data to show cart abandonment. And this is where you have to look at, okay, for large website, ideally you want a wish list. Amazon, the benchmark, has options for a wish list where you look at an item you're not ready to buy now. You just put it in a wish list. You don't feel the pressure to buy it and you come back for it later. But Amazon has the benefits that you're logged in. But in instances where people are not really logged in, you need to have the features and functionalities in your website enabled that when they do come back, those items that they've added to a wish list is there. People do not feel pressured when they add something into the shopping cart and they go into the shopping cart, they're not ready to buy, and they just exit and feel stressed and not come back. Again, this is something you need to A/B test to look at, okay, how can I improve the weak call to action on my product pages? Do I need to have option for people to add things to the wish list? Do I need option where people will just go straight to checkout where they've completed buying? Or do you just have the add to cart button alone where people, and if someone is ready to just exit straight away, what are the options they have? So again, this is where we use A/B testing to identify what works best, because every e-commerce product page is unique. There's no one size fits all. I see a lot of subject matter experts, gurus out there that work with large brands like your Nike and all those huge e-commerce stores try to make recommendations that is generic. Smaller e-commerce store, for example, I mentioned earlier on that the search feature is not really relevant for smaller e-commerce store. So you need to look at what works for your e-commerce store before making all those recommendations. But a weak call to action is a major conversion killer. A distracting related product. On your product page, you have the option of adding related products to it. If that related product is different to the product they're viewing and not complementary to it, that might be a conversion killer. What I mean by this is, if someone is buying a high ticket item, maybe something that is expensive, you really do not want to overwhelm them by giving them multiple options and related products that starts confusing them. What I recommend to clients and what works best is when you add upsells, not necessarily cross-sell. People kind of mix that two together in some instances. Upsell, cross-sell, they think is the same thing. They're not. Upsell is when that item is actually an add-on, or you're trying to get more from selling that item. What I'm trying to say is it's actually related to that product. It's an upsell, it's an upgrade to that product. A cross-sell is when you're trying to add something extra that is not really related, but you want to just bundle it together and make a sale. So this is where you need to be careful, because ultimately you're trying to increase average order value. But the question is, at the detriment of conversion, would you rather have this conversion completed, or would you rather try to force them to add other things? So some instances, people add bundles that kind of overwhelms the customer. If someone is looking to just buy one thing, you need to give them that flexibility not to be distracted by related products. Unclear shipping and return policy is another major conversion killer on your product page. When I say shipping information, I recently ordered something for my son and the shipping specified 5 days. They didn't specify 5 working days, it just says 5 days. But what I've seen is it's been like 8 or 9 days now, including the working days, and this item has not been delivered. And my son has been asking, when is he going to get his stuff? When is he going to get his stuff? It's become a problem because the shipping information, although it was clear, they potentially weren't very upfront about actually when the thing would be delivered. So in situations where you have an unclear shipping information, people are not sure when they're going to get it, that is a conversion killer. You need to specify. If someone is buying something, Amazon does a good job about that. They tell you straight away, you get this by tomorrow, you get this by 9 p.m. today. That is an encouragement for people to complete the purchase if they have a clear shipping and return policy. Because if someone is buying something and they're not sure about if they're going to be able to return it, they will be hesitant to complete the purchase. Amazon has had a very good success because they're very clear and they make it easy with the return policy. You're not going to think twice about buying something from Amazon and then you're going to buy it. But lately there've been some issues where you buy things from Amazon, they ask you to contact the reseller and things like that. That's not good. The absence or confusing size guide. For some product pages where people need to actually test that product physically, try it on, because the concern is not even the price or the shipping or anything like that. Their concern is, will this fit me? So this is where you need to have a very detailed description of the size guide. You need to be able to help them feel that the size guide gives them enough information to give them that confidence that, okay, this product is going to fit me. If that size guide is confusing, that is a major, major conversion killer on your product page, because people won't even get to the cart page. They won't even add it to the cart if that is not solved. Let's look at the shopping cart. The conversion killers on your shopping cart are always your hidden cost. When you give people extra information on the shopping cart that you could have easily given them on the product page, that is a recipe for disaster. What I'm trying to say is sometimes when I'm buying things online and I just land on the cart page and I just see VAT appear all of a sudden and the price just shoots up, and shipping information and things like that, it just makes me think, hang on a minute, why didn't you tell me this before? And that's a major, major conversion killer. You want to communicate that cost from the product page, and you want to make it visible to them that, okay, while they're adding things to the basket and things like that, you want to communicate to them how much things they need to add extra to qualify for free shipping, especially if you have a free shipping threshold. You don't want them to land on that page, on your cart page, and assume that they have everything there to qualify for free shipping, and then they have to go back again. So communicating and not having any hidden cost before someone arrives on the cart page is a major, major important thing. The average cart abandonment on Shopify is approximately 70%. And according to Shopify, complicated checkout contributes to 18% of cart abandonment. This is a major conversion killer. And the lack of customer review, I mentioned the customer review doesn't have to be a very detailed one. It could just be like a symbol that shows your rating, your star rating, to kind of encourage people to be able to trust you. Again, a conversion killer on your cart page is the lack of trust symbols. Lack of security and trust symbol is a conversion killer, because if someone is looking at your cart page and they feel like, I don't trust this website with my credit card detail, they're going to leave. And the only way they can trust your cart page with their credit card details is if you have trust symbol present on your cart page. That's a good thing. No option to delete cart items. I've seen this. It's a form of dark UX where you make it difficult for people to delete cart items. In some instances, it might be the design of the cart page, because sometimes these cart pages are templates. There you need to hire a developer. If it's a Shopify, you need to hire a Shopify developer, or you hire whatever CMS you use to help you customize the shopping cart page, because that customization is needed. If you go with the default template, you'll be losing and have a lot of conversion killers by default. The reason why is because some of these cart pages were not designed for specific websites. So if your website requirement is different, then you need to adjust that cart page. You need to make sure it's easy for people to be able to delete items that they don't want. Don't make it difficult or complicated. The more frustrated people have on this page, the more likelihood that they're going to exit. Because again, Shopify said the average cart abandonment is approximately 70%. This is because there are elements on that cart page that is frustrating people. And in some instances, that frustration starts even from your homepage, from the product page. That is important. The presence of upsell and cross-sell. Again, this needs to be A/B tested. When someone has made up their mind to buy, you don't want to force them or lure them to buy things they don't need. The presence of those things in some instances is a distraction. And the more distraction you give to them, the more they start thinking, do I need to buy something extra? And once they get distracted, even in the physical location by something, they just abandon and they never come back. So you want to reduce as much as possible that distraction. But in some instances, it's okay to upsell by showing them products that is important, relevant to that product, like an add-on. Again, this needs to be A/B tested. And another main conversion killer on your cart page is the unclear delivery date. You need to specify to people this will be delivered on so dates, not just say 3 working days. If they're buying something on a Monday, you need to tell them will be delivered by Wednesday if it's a 2-day express shipping, and specify the date and the time range. That encourages people and gives them more clarity that I'm going to get this. If they need it as soon as possible, then they have the option to go for express shipping. But if you don't have a clear delivery date, some people might not be sure that how long is this going to take for it to be delivered. Amazon has spoiled people a lot where they just feel things can be delivered as quick as possible. So everyone has that expectation. And when it comes to payment, another conversion killer is when you don't offer people enough payment options. For some high-ticket expensive items, people want to buy now and pay later. And if you don't have that payment option present, that becomes a conversion killer. In some instances, you can have integration like Amazon payments, PayPal, and other payment method. That would help people make that quick decision based on what they're logged in with. If someone is logged into their PayPal, for example, they can just click on and just make that quick purchase. Amazon has a lot of success because they make it seamless. They have your credit card details. So even when you get to the payment page, it's quite easy. You don't have to put anything in. That's why Amazon is successful. But the good thing you need to highlight is Amazon has people logged in. So not a lot of websites have that feature and that functionality enabled. And I was on a website recently, and that website was trying to make me pay for shipping protection. And I'm thinking in my head, this product is about £300, like $300, and you're trying to make me pay for shipping, for shipping protection. When I go to the cart page, the shipping protection was already added. So again, this is a major conversion killer. So you need to also look at the number of steps that people have to take before they make that final purchase. If you have multi-step process before people complete the checkout, then that's a problem. That's a main conversion killer. In some instances, you can have a single checkout where people put their details and just pay after the cart page. So the lower the number of process and step people have to take before they make that final payment, the more the conversion and the lower the conversion killer. So my name is Femi Olajiga. I'm available for consulting. I can train your in-house team and your internal team to make sure you have the capability and the skill internally to optimize your e-commerce store. I do this by offering a 90-day optimization timeline. You have the option of going with a 30-day, but ideally you want a 90-day timeline. This optimization process would involve looking at your acquisition channel, making sure it's optimized for intent, making sure that your analytics and your UX audit is done to make sure that your homepage, product listing page, cart page, and all those pages in your e-commerce store is optimized for conversion. And for in situations where people will drop off, we can then integrate email marketing, A/B testing, and other good stuff to increase conversion. The goal here is to increase your revenue and your profit margin, optimize your price, and make sure that you have the best converting e-commerce store. You can find my details in the show notes. Reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. And for the next episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about digital marketing strategy. I'm going to be talking about that strategy that puts everything together. In some instances, people start e-commerce store or businesses without having a clear strategy. So that is important. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like. And if you're watching on Apple and Spotify and other podcast platforms, leave us a review. And yeah, again, you can reach out to me and connect with me. Send me an email and I'll be happy to help. I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Thank you very much.
If you've got a real life question, challenge, or scenario that you would like covered, Femi can cover it in the future episodes of the podcast. Just drop him a message on LinkedIn. Femi is also available for one-to-one coaching and consultancy services as well. So head over to LinkedIn, connect with him, and send in your message.